Hey everybody, this is James,
Nabil,
and Mikey.
and this is our bonus episode number 5. It's almost a secret show. Look at that.
another bonus episode for the pals?
Wow, look at that. Look at us
crazy.
spoiling. We didn't even announce this one. So we are going to be reviewing Jurassic World Rebirth. We all actually, us three, Marco was not able to, but we're able to attend early secret showing of it this week before its main release coming out on July 2nd. So we're going to review it already. We'll let you know a little bit about it. So if you want to know about it, we'll have our spoiler section as well. So it's not going to spoil it at all for you. But stay tuned. Let's jump right into it.
On the island we're headed to, 24 species have survived there alone.
The theme park owners did experimental work, leaving only the worst ones here.
Okay, Jurassic World Rebirth. Currently doesn't have a Rotten Tomatoes thing, so because it's not out yet, can't really help you out there. But the synopsis is 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable for dinosaurs. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments with climates resembling the ones in which they once thrived. The three most colossal creatures in that tropical biosphere hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. This one is directed by Gareth Edwards, who did Godzilla in 2014, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story in 2016, and The Creator in 2023. It was written by David Koepp, who did Jurassic Park in 93, Mission Impossible in 96, The Lost World, Jurassic Park in 97, and Spider-Man in 2002. As James just mentioned, this is releasing in theaters on July 2nd, 2025. And it stars Scarlett Johansson as Zora Bennett, Mahershala Ali as Duncan Kincaid, Jonathan Bailey as Dr. Henry Loomis, Rupert Friend as Martin Krebs, Manuel Garcia Rolfo as Ruben Delgado, Luna Blaze as Teresa Delgado, David Iacono as Xavier Dobbs, Adrina Miranda as Isabella Delgado, and Ed Skrein as Bobby Atwater. So before we get into the new movie here, let's kind of see what everybody's ideas and experience is with the old ones. We'll start with James here. Well, what about Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise?
Well, we already know what Mikey's answer is going to be for this one.
I've seen it once or
Absolutely
twice.
loves them. Yeah, I mean, we've reviewed a few of them on here before. Seen them all. I'm a bit. Every kid, I think, back in the '90s, really got into a dinosaur phase for a little bit, and I was one of them. So
It's true.
it's kind of one of those things. Like it was natural, like Ninja Turtles, and then like dinosaurs, right? So,
Absolutely.
I did not rewatch them before. I was planning on doing it, but I didn't realize the mystery movie, because this was really last minute, by the way, listeners. Like, we found out on Sunday, the day before, like, hey, their mystery movies actually, because normally the mystery movies they do at these things are not big budget blockbusters. And this is probably one of the bigger ones outside of like last year. I think Gladiator 2 was one of them. But usually it's like smaller films or smaller like indie films. So, yeah,
and
I
this
didn't
one
do
was
a
not
rewatch.
so secret as well. So
Yeah, this was announced, and I don't know about you, Nabil, but Mikey and I saw it, and our theater was like packed. But there was a lot of people in our theater that did not know what it was.
Yeah, it was a surprise for our theater too. It was packed, but people were pleasantly surprised with the intro opening into the film.
People started clapping at ours.
They did, yeah.
yeah.
Clapped at
And I
yours
was
too.
like, don't clap. No,
People clapped at the
Still-
end too. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
one of those crowds.
right?
First movie in a while, huh? Sorry.
Nabil, how about yourself? What's your history?
All right, so full disclosure, I've seen all the films. I did not do a recent marathon, but I have not seen the most recent Jurassic World Dominion film.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I just never got a chance to watch it. I didn't see it in theaters. It's just been around. I think mostly because I wasn't too impressed with the second Jurassic World film, which I don't remember what the title was.
Fallen
Subtitle
Kingdom?
was- There you go, Fallen Kingdom. So I was like, I'm in no rush to see Dominion. But I did watch a recap, and my consensus is still the same. I was in no ruch to see Dominion.
I mean, I think you should still watch it. Honestly, if you're going to watch
I
it,
will
watch
see
the,
eventually watch it,
watch
yeah.
the extended cut, by the way.
I will eventually check it out because I do want to complete the series because I really did enjoy Jurassic World when that came out. That was a really fun movie for me. And it gave me nostalgia of like Jurassic Park in the same way. I was like, this is they did a good job bringing this.
Just like
to
Star
its
Wars
mark.
Episode 7 did for,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
these
you're
might be good. And then afterwards, you're like, these are terrible.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about the franchise that's gone. But I know we're going to talk a little bit about these films, but I feel like we're kind of picking back up to a little bit on that.
It's crazy because I just picked up the 2 remasters they did on 4K. Both of the sets, the Steelbook sets that just came out.
Really?
Yeah, because they released the original one and like Jurassic World, the first one, all in Dolby Vision now. And I was like, I'm going to watch them all leading up to it. And then this happened. I was like, well, I guess I'll just hold off, I guess.
I'll get to them at some point, right?
All a spur of the moment.
Again.
Yeah. How about you, Mikey? Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen them all. Obviously, I've seen the very first one probably too many times. I love the first one. It's my whole childhood and wrapped up into a nice little package. But the last 2, I did rewatch. I've kind of zoned out on Fallen Kingdom. I put it on to watch it, and I just started looking at YouTube videos while I was watching it because I didn't really care for it. Dominion, on the other hand, I actually didn't mind Dominion, and I did rewatch it, and I like it. It's not perfect, but it's still a good movie, in my opinion, at least. So I didn't watch the other ones. I had seen the other ones, all 3 of the originals and the remake of Jurassic World. I've seen those so many times I didn't really need to rewatch them. So
I mean, those are super fresh.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's kind of go into this new one here. Nabil, how'd you feel about this new one? Just a little bit about it. What'd you think?
Yeah, it started out, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but as we kind of continued on, it did give me a little bit more of the vibes of like, not exactly like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, because it's not as focused on like children in the same way. But I kind of liked how they introduced the characters and got to get a better feel, especially of Zora Bennett, her character, because I wasn't sure what we were doing with her, how that progressed. So I'm liking where it's going, and I think that this film did a good job of setting up a world. If it was just going to be this movie, I'd say it probably wasn't a strong suit for like the Jurassic Park franchise, I guess. But knowing that there's supposed to be more, hopefully, I kind of like this setup. So I enjoyed most of the scenes in the movie.
Okay. And James, what about you?
Yeah, I actually had a lot of fun with this one, surprisingly, because it was one of those movies where I didn't think they needed to make any more Jurassic Park movies, especially after the last 2.
How much more with the dinosaurs, guys? Come on.
How many more islands we're going to find? Like, this is the one where they did the mutant stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess. I'll say, like, I wasn't as invested in the characters. I don't think there's the strongest character growth in this one. I think that's what's lacking the most. And like, I didn't quite care too much about things, but there are moments where it was like, we talked about it, Mikey, a bit last night after the movie, where it was creeping into that territory. It gave me a lot of Lost World vibes, which I personally really liked the Lost World.
Yeah.
So, and I liked that there was actually moments in this film compared to the last 2. Once again, I'm going to do that a lot because the last 2 to me weren't the greatest, where I actually felt like it had a Jurassic Park / World vibe to it. And I like that sense of like, there's a lot of key scenes that are really well done. I'll say that much. So overall, I had a lot of fun with this, surprisingly.
Yeah, this one has a little bit more a sense of adventure than the last 2 did. And I think that's kind of really how you kind of compare it to the original and
a lot of
the
water
remake.
in this one for some reason.
Yeah, and I do like the new dinosaurs too. Like there's dinosaurs you've never seen before because they're like mutations, right? So
like
it's
combinations of other ones combined, right?
And you can almost see like which dinosaurs they came from, which is pretty refreshing actually. So they're not so like far gone that you don't know what you're looking at. They're you can kind of tell. So I like that as well. Overall, I like the movie. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was perfect. James kind of mentioned some of the characters. In my opinion, some of the choices they make in dialogue was kind of weak as well.
It's a little heavy-handed in the beginning too.
Yeah. And they use comedy in some of the scenes I thought could have been done a little differently. Overall, I didn't mind the comedy as a whole, but there's a couple of scenes that just kind of, in my opinion, kind of stuck out a little bit. But overall, it's a fun movie. It's got some adventure in it. It's got some cool dinosaurs in it. And it's kind of action-packed, had really good scenes. It's overall a pretty good movie. So let's talk a little bit about the plot and what you guys liked or didn't like about it. James, why don't you start us off?
I kind of liked the plot was, hey, we're trying to find these 3, we're trying to find a cure for heart disease, and there's these 3 dinosaurs on this island that we need to bring in. That's where Zora, she's hired by Martin, and like the team comes together. We have like a band of misfits, kind of, you know, like she's like a mercenary basically. And there's a Dr. Henry Loomis is kind of like this guy. You find out that he studied under Grant, which is kind of cool. That's his connection to the original team because there's no one from the previous movies in this one. I thought it worked out. It's a pretty simple plot if you think about it. It doesn't really throw many, like, there's no twist to it all, in my opinion. Like, we already know who the turncoat's going to be, right? Pretty early on.
I mean, his name is Friend. So, yeah.
I mean, that's the real life guy, but I mean, overall, I thought it's well acted though, and I think that plot wise itself. At first, I was kind of like, why do we have to include the family? Because I was getting kind of flashbacks of Jurassic Park 3, which I think, honestly, the mom in that one is the most annoying character. God, she almost like ruins that movie. But honestly, the family kind of worked for me in this one. And I mean, we'll jump more about that in characters and such. But they're kind of the twist to the story of where they're kind of caught up in the middle of this all. And they kind of go off on their own thing, though. And I like that gave a like even broader sense of adventure too. So it kind of happens on both sides.
Yeah, definitely. Nabil, thoughts?
So I really like the fact that the main story was split in two. Like the main cast, Zora Duncan and Dr. Henry Loomis, they went out. They have a mission. They have something they have to do specifically, and the B story is the Delgado family, and they do care a little bit, obviously enough to get them involved in this through the circumstances that they had to kind of save them. But then they kind of go their separate ways, and they do talk about them, but they're like, we still have to do this mission. We'll worry about
the mission. I think it's a lot of money, right?
Exactly. So I kind of like that because it's like realistically they're here for a reason, and they're like, we can't like do two things at the same time and have to babysit this family, and the family went on their own. So like, whatever.
They kind of are like, hey, they know that to get to that village. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah. So they're like, they'll find their way, hopefully, and we'll just see what happens. You know, so it kind of shows that they're not the best people, but they do kind of care to it as like, hopefully they're okay. I like that though, because it's more grounded in that way, you know? Like
that is what I'm getting at. The like Duncan is more because like you learn that Duncan has like a past where something happened to his son, right? And he's more concerned about getting the kids. And he does mention when they land on like, hey, let's just find the family, get out of here, you know?
Yeah. He does.
Yeah, when they land, they're like, hey, let's just leave. But
yeah, but then they're like, we can't do that, you know? And I was like, well, I mean, you could.
But the money.
That's kind of like what I liked about it too. Like Nabil was saying, it's kind of like they're kind of separate from each other, but it kind of works out. Like they're like, I have to climb this huge ass mountain, and then they're like, they just flip over to the other team, right? So there's like a family team, and then
because imagine them trying to babysit this crew to get them up go up the mountain and go down the mountain. Like
you're right, and then that would be annoying. Like, why would they even bring them with, right? Like, hey, how about you stay here where it's secure, then we'll be back with everything, and then we'll get off here. All right, true, you're right. Pacing wise, that makes more sense.
Yeah, so it worked out that way. And it also gave us a way to see, I think it was James that said it earlier here, a way to kind of see two different parts of the island at the same time. Because like you get like the valley of dinosaurs with the mission crew, right? And then the family's over there kind of going down a river. So it's, they kind of get these contrasts and different things.
You get the horrific one of the other guys like, this is beautiful. And then meanwhile, they're like, we're getting chased by a T-Rex.
Right, yeah. So you get these kind of contrasts, and it kind of does work. At least for me, it did. And like everybody said, the plot's not super complex, so it's not like they have to do much. They have these basic tasks they need to get to. I mean, the family just got to get to a point, and then they just got to get a couple samples. So it's like, there's really not a lot to it. But
get to the Jurassic Park.
Well,
everybody just wants to see dinosaurs, right?
It serves a purpose, kind of like it works out. I liked how they kind of blended in because they say at the beginning like it's land, air, sea. They've got 3 different species in different parts of the thing. And in the beginning, where they're saving the Delgado family, it seemed like it was out of the way. But also, it gave them a reason to figure out where the sea dinosaur is, whoever's in the ocean. And, like, it worked out. And I was like, okay, this all kind of has a reason instead of them. Because they were leaning a lot on, like, we're 28 miles away. We've got to go so far away and turn around and go back. And it's like, well, you just killed, 2 birds with 1 stone. So
I think that's almost a show, though, like, Martin's like, hey, this guy's all mission and money. Like, he does not care about anything else, man. And then Ed Screen's randomly. Ed Screen's randomly in this movie. He's just in. I thought he was going to survive a lot longer. Spoiler a little bit there, but
Yeah.
And then,
Well, I mean, unlike unlike the last movie we reviewed, which was 28 years later, there is cannon fodder in this movie.
There is
this
a
one,
lot.
There's
that
extra
is
people
one of
for
the
a reason,
things
right?
that it's pretty obvious who's gonna die. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Mikey at certain parts, I'm like, oh, this guy's dead. Like French guy.
Yeah.
Nah, he ain't making it.
There was a surprise in somebody who did survive, and I didn't expect
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how?
franchise.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about some of the characters. We've kind of touched on a little bit here, but I think we kind of need to talk about them a little bit more, I guess. So we're going to kind of do this in two batches, I guess. You can talk about whoever you want, but we'll go with like the mission team, which is Bennett, Kincaid, and Loomis are the three main characters on the mission team. They're the ones trying to get the samples from the dinosaurs with Krebs and Atwater, I guess.
Anyway, yeah.
Let's talk about that group. Nabil, did you have anything or any character you liked in that group that you'd like to talk about?
I think I do like Bennett a lot. I also just like seeing Mahershala Ali. So I like Kincaid. Just the fact that he was in the film was like, this is already great. You know,
He's like a scene. Mahershala Ali's like a scene stealer, man. He's really good.
I think
he's the Han Solo character. Get it?
He's a bit rogue, you know.
Yeah.
I think that to what James was talking about a little bit from like a character development, there's a build up to it. We're starting to kind of get there where we care, but it wasn't quite fully fleshed out. Like we were almost there. They probably could have spent a little bit more time going to the background of the characters, just a couple more lines here or there to feel the emotion that they were trying to give off screen. But I think as a whole, they work pretty well. You could see that there's good chemistry, especially between Bennett and Kincaid. I actually really liked Dr. Henry Loomis. I wasn't sure I liked him at first, but as we continued on with him, I kind of liked his character, and I'm interested to see where we go with him in the franchise because he seemed pretty. They were leaning into him being nerdy, but I was like, he just seems like he's a smart guy who
like,
knows he's in over his head.
He's the tough guy from Wicked. What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, it seemed like a fun time. So I enjoyed that, and then like Krebs's character, he was definitely he's the big wig money guy, and you knew at any point. I mean, again, I guess it's a spoiler, but you can kind of tell that he was going to be the bad guy in this film eventually. You know, but
yeah,
but
I
not
mean,
too bad. Like you don't hate him to some extent. They try to make you hate him.
He almost could have justified, like, hey, you know what? Things are getting heated. I just see we're on a secret mission.
That's how I felt about it too. I was like, I can see his perspective of guys. He's got a lot of money on the line here. You know, there's a lot going on.
But he's very much a caricature of like previous quote unquote villains that have done the same exact thing. Where it turns out like, oh, this guy's a dirtbag. You know.
And I'm like,
I do like the dynamic though. With,
you
know, Bennett's kind of in the middle. You have Loomis and Kincaid on one side and Krebs on the other.
I really feel with Zora though. Who's Bennett that we're talking about? That's her last name. Like Zora, I wish they had just done a little bit more with her for me to care a little more. Like it's very heavy-handed in the beginning where she's talking to Duncan about like, oh man, this is our lives. We're so fucking sad, you know. And I was like, oh, but then they kind of do make fun of it. And I was like, oh, okay, tension off a bit. But I'm like, a lot of exposition they're throwing at you, man. Just to be like, this is where we're from.
There was a scene early on, James, when they were on the boat where you run into, I don't remember who it was. I think it was the doctor. Loomis walked in on Zora like in tears. She's just kind of staring off and crying. And
she's in the back of the boat. Yeah,
she's in the back of the boat. I feel like there was probably a little bit more to that. It wasn't a bad scene or anything, but
it's like PTSD. She said she's like, I probably started too early or anything. I'm like, it wouldn't be kind of cool to see that.
Exactly. I feel like we could. That would have been an optimal place to put in, is just to kind of feel that connection with her. So it wasn't quite.
See, that's my biggest issue with this movie is that I just didn't emotionally connect with anyone. Yeah. I mean, honestly, maybe the family is the only people like, because I was like, oh, kind of fish out of water, and that's kind of their intention of that,
literally,
of that side of the people, you know. Yeah. But it's one of those things where, like, because she's the leading lady of the movie, I just wanted a little bit more out of her. I thought it was cool that they didn't make her like too badass, where they're like too heavy-handed. With like, look at her, she's like women's rights.
Dinosaurs with the fist.
Oh my god, she's crazy. A 5'2" chick can do anything, right? That makes sense, right? You seen Ballerina. So, but this one, like they kept it pretty like somewhat realistic, and she's like, I liked her demeanor throughout it too. She's kind of jokey a bit, but she's like, hey, like this is what we're here to do. But then you do find she's one of like, oh, but she has a heart of gold at the end. What do you know? You know. So,
Well, you mentioned the family, James. We'll get into that side here. So the family is basically the Gatto clan, right? Their whole family. Plus, there's a boyfriend of
Xavier.
Teresa, right? Yeah, Xavier. Yeah. So they're kind of off on their own. There is times where they can kind of merge together as a one large team, but for the most of the movie, they're kind of by themselves. And did you have any thoughts about them?
Yeah, like you said, I thought they were going to be annoying because a lot of times we were these, I was like, God damn it, come on. But they were okay overall. They, like I said, like we talked about, they give a different side of it all. Xavier's the weird one. He's kind of like the comedic relief throughout the movie. And you don't quite like, at first you're like, oh, this guy's kind of a piece of shit. But then why would Teresa be with him? And then you do realize like deep down, he has some traits that show that he's probably a lot braver than he thinks he is. So I did like that aspect, especially by the end, everybody kind of comes full circle. So it worked. And then I do like how like Isabella is terrified, but then she does find what's the name of the dinosaur?
Dolores.
I assumed it was like
Dolores.
Yeah,
Dolores.
Triceratops of some sort.
Oh yeah, but yeah, she finds her own little Grogu there as well.
It's
Just
just
for
for
the
the
Stegosaurus?
toys. They gotta sell the toys.
I thought that was cute though. That the fact that she kind of warmed up to him after she's like, a dinosaur should have stayed dead or something, or blah blah.
Yeah, she's totally against dinosaurs until she finds the cute one.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, I like licorice too.
It's
So,
a Pokemon.
yeah, almost. But it was cute. They have one of the coolest. I think that raft scene is one of the coolest scenes in the movie.
That was one
Yeah,
of
it was
the
really
really
good.
for sure.
Yeah.
Which apparently is like a deleted scene from the first movie that was supposed to be in there. That's from the novel. They have that in the novel. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I like that scene a lot.
Well, that scene has a dinosaur in it, and let's see what you guys thought. I mean, I already kind of mentioned my thing, right? I like the kind of combo dinosaurs they had. They brought some of the regular ones back too, but
The
I'll just leave it
Mammosaurus.
open to everybody. Does anybody have anything thoughts on the dinosaurs themselves?
So wait,
It's
what
always-
was the D-Rex a combination of?
Well, they have those like
Yeah, that
small ones
rounded
with like the
head.
bump head, right? Yeah.
Was it the
yeah,
head
those
It
one?
was that skull one,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I
Oh
was
man, it
thinking.
was creepy looking because it had like actual arms.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
think
had
it's more
extra
than two,
pair.
right?
Yeah, it had
Did it
extra pair
have
of arms.
3 arms?
It had 4. It was 2 up front,
Yeah,
and
two
then
long
the
ones
2
and the
big
two
ones.
T-Rex ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but those. Oh, I didn't even see that. Holy crap!
Yep.
Yeah, that thing was brutal and it looked so weird.
Terrifying. And white again.
Was it
too,
weird
in
that
the
it was
albino.
slow? Do you guys? Did that
It
throw
was
you guys
actually
off a little
really
bit?
slow.
Yeah.
I
So I
almost
thought it
was
was
under
kinda
the kind of thought. I was like, was it stuck in that building the whole time for like for like 17 years? And I was like, oh, never mind. Okay, it's broken open. I was like, okay, that was cool. They have like the raptors. The Spinosaurus was cool. I like those in the water. It shows you how brutal it is. The Mammosaurus is that huge whale one that's from
Yeah.
Jurassic World, basically.
The T-Rex is
somehow
cool. Again,
so
they
sorry.
always show them, but it's always great to see it. Like, it was a great
Yeah,
scene,
the
like you
T-Rex
said,
is
with
awesome,
the
man.
Fun.
I like how first it starts off where it's going to be that dinosaur that can spit like the
Tar or
gooey
whatever,
stuff,
yeah.
into your face, and then it's like, oh, never mind. And then you find out the T-Rex is like sleeping behind the girl. I was like, oh, nice scene. So
I feel like they did the flying dinosaurs a little bit more justice in this one too.
they did.
They're
They're pretty
kind of
creepy,
a little
man.
bit more. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit more on them.
Man, there's a scene where it climbs up and it has someone in their mouth, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Well,
And
talking
then
about
those
that one,
big
go ahead.
brontosaurus ones, by the way, I was gonna say that's the Jurassic Park scene where it's kind of like majestic. I thought that was a really pretty scene.
Yeah, they were mating.
Yeah, I was like kind of getting in the middle of. There's a lot of them though.
yeah,
By
that's
the
I
way.
was surprised. I was like, wow, that's
I was like, that's a lot more than I thought.
Well, James just mentioned a scene that was kind of scary, right? With like the big bird coming up with the thing in his mouth. So, what do you guys think about the horror elements as overall?
I think it was well done. It was back to. It wasn't as intense as the first one, at least from a rewatch a few years back of the original Jurassic Park, where there was some like genuine fears and tension. I don't feel like I felt that tension in the same way in most of the film. There were some scenes that had it, but I think what they did show was well. Like we talked about, the raft scene was really good. I think the ending scene where they were in the facility and being chased by whatever that's Stegosaurus or whatever it was, that was cool. So there were a couple of those kind of high tension ones, but I don't think they were too heavy handed on the horror in this movie.
I think it does a decent job, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
once again, compared to the last one, once again, I'm just saying. Like, there's moments, especially like the water scene in the beginning. I think against the whale like one too, where they're crashing in and then they have to try to escape it. I thought that was really well done in that scene particularly as well. Like it's a pretty long scene and it kind of goes from like out of the ocean back into the shallows, and I think that the set of actions that are happening are actually it's shot really well, honestly. And then once again, I like the scene too. The horror elements I say are just that the D-Rex is such a creepy like thing, you know, because it's a mutated T-Rex. And I like the use of shadows and smoke that they use with those scenes, especially at the end. I thought that creates a sense of eeriness to it all. Once again, it's not. I think you can if you have kids and you're thinking of taking them to see this. This is not like one of those like, oh, they're not going to be able to sleep thing. If they like the previous movies, they're going to like this one a lot.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's not super horror orientated. It's really more like an action-y style.
Yeah.
It does have some horror elements, of course, but
That's
it's
what I'm
really
saying.
kind
It's
of
like
from an action point of view.
to me. Yeah.
It's like
absolutely.
less blood, less like body gore. Like you're not seeing bits
No.
of pieces coming off of people. Like there is somebody being eaten a few times, but it's nothing ever like too graphic. You know,
No,
it's just
nothing like
he's
especially looking at past films, nothing like ever. It's on par with the rest of them, honestly.
gone. Yeah.
If you can watch the original, you can watch this one and be
Oh,
pretty
yeah. If
happy.
you can watch the original, you can watch this one. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, before we get to the overall rating and our spoiler section here, any last thoughts here about pre-spoiler stuff?
I was gonna say the visuals are good. I think it was strong. The graphics were just as good as the original Jurassic World film. At least I
think
can't speak to all
Gareth
of them,
Edwards,
but-
it's pretty good with like this is a lower budgeted Jurassic World film compared to the other previous movies. And just like the creator, like he does pretty well with like what he has to work with.
Yeah.
So
He's really grown on me, actually. I never really liked a lot of his stuff, but then I saw the creator and I went back and watched some other stuff of his, and I really like a lot of his stuff now. Just not sure why.
you didn't like
it
Godzilla?
Not me. I didn't like love it, but I went back and watched
I really
it.
liked Godzilla.
Yeah,
Scene
I
with
think
the drone.
what he's done with this movie is kind of akin to the other films that he's directed, where he's very good at like each, we'll say like moment is contained. So there's not a lot going on in the like James was talking about the opening boat scene. You know, we're focused on
It's got good set
this
pieces.
scene. Yeah, like we're focused on this from start to finish. A lot is happening, but at the same time, you can follow pretty well. Every time there was like an action scene that was coming up, like even at the end where they're following that D-Rex, you can kind of follow along what's happening. Like there's a bunch of characters being split up, and you're not sure, you know, if they're going to catch up with each other. But at the same time, you know where everybody's at and what they're doing. He's very good at like those coordinating those set pieces and keeping you on track without feeling like it's too big of a scope, which is very evident in this film.
Well put. All right, well, let's get into our rating and go through a small spoiler section. There's really not a huge amount to spoil or anything like that, but we'll start with Nabil. What did you rate the movie and would you recommend it?
Yeah, I gave this film 3.5 stars. I liked it. I think it's a good start to this franchise, and I'm looking forward to seeing what more is going to come from it.
Very nice. James?
Yeah, I give it 3.5 stars as well. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. And if it is setting up a new trilogy as they're trying to do, if it's successful, then I'm actually looking forward to another Jurassic World / park film.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I gave it 3.5 as well. And yeah, hopefully they do have another one here. I'm always down for more dinosaurs. So, well, let's jump into our spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, you don't want to get spoiled here. There's, like I said, there's not that much here, but kind of zoom ahead, or actually don't zoom ahead. So we're going to go over stories, but there's no zooming ahead because this is a bonus episode. We don't have anything at the end. So,
if you don't have to, then you can end it right here. Thanks for listening. So.
Yeah. Thanks, yeah. All right, well, guys, thoughts on the ending here. So they find a boat, and most of the crew and the family kind of get on this boat and leave. And just thoughts on Zora's decision. She's obviously kind of sided a little bit more with
Henry.
Yeah, Henry and Kincaid. They kind of already kind of persuading her a little bit here, so she kind of went that direction instead of going with the money. And so, what are your guys' thoughts on how it ended, who lived and who didn't, and the decision she made?
I mean, we knew she was going to make that decision, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
pretty
it would have
obvious.
made it better. I mean, it's not like she could have gotten the money anyways, because what's his name is, you know,
Krebs.
Yeah, but he
died.
works for the people.
But-
it's not like he's part of the. I mean, they could have got it.
I mean, if he got, as long as she got a contract, I would have released it. Like, it would have been interesting to have her go and say, "No, we're still going to deliver this to this and get my payday," and see where that goes. That would have been interesting instead of saying, let's open source it.
That would have been funny. You'd be like, damn, Zora, you dark.
Yeah. I need to get paid, though, for real.
She's
It's
like,
not even
sorry,
enough.
there was a lot of zeros on that contract.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all knew what's going to happen. It shows you that, like, Zora's, even though she's quote unquote a mercenary, she's like the nicest mercenary in the fucking world.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Well, she's
And-
also been changed by the last event she went on, right? Or the last mission she went on. She lost somebody,
supposedly.
right?
See,
So
once again, I wish we had a little bit more of that
Very
context.
loose, yeah.
yeah.
Because I don't know why. I probably would have cared more, honestly. But Duncan somehow fucking survives.
No one
That
knows
is-
how, but
That is interesting. Yeah.
Dude, that's a cool scene, by the way. I love the color contrast. Dude, Gareth Edwards with red does wonders, by the way. Like Godzilla with red. Think about it. Like, just awesome. And he just gets it. And the thing's right in front of him. Like, how could he have escaped? I guess maybe if he blinded it.
He might,
but
or maybe he went underwater, like just quickly, and
maybe,
took off
and
his
because I mean,
flare.
his whole thing is that he's like, I'll never die in the jungle, right? He says that earlier on. 'Cause
yeah, I
he's
thought it was
I didn't think
ironic.
about
I was
that.
like, I
Yeah.
guess he's gonna die.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. I was like, damn, he's gonna die in the jungle. And then they somehow save him. I kept thinking at the very end when he was still waving it around, I was like, he's gonna get eaten right here.
Yeah, I did too.
They were gonna like throw it up in the air and say, "Well, I guess he's dead." Like he's about to get swallowed by him in the air.
Or like you see him like pop out and eat him, like, oh no. And they drive off, and I'm like, oh, that would have been fucking brutal. So the D-Rex survives too, though. So potential.
there was no way to
sequel,
kill him.
kid.
Yeah.
The thing is, like,
Why would
it's
they go back to
stoppable.
the island?
I don't think it really could swim. Like you said, I think it's too slow.
Yeah.
Well, dinosaurs can't live outside of the equator areas, anyways, right? That's what this whole movie's
Somewhat.
premise is.
So what is Isabella's new friend gonna die too? Or
That's what I was saying at
Maybe.
the end. Yeah, I was like, oh, that dinosaur's dead.
I think if you put in the right the right environment, like if you have like heaters on it, it probably would be okay.
What
Watch,
if
they're
the
gonna make an
research they do
exception.
with
That dinosaur. The next movie, that dinosaur's gonna be hella bigger.
Right.
We're
And they're
going
gonna be
into
like, "We have
that,
to bring-
right?
We got to bring her back.
No, we're going into that, right? Like, what if the research they do with the dinosaur samples that they got raises the temperature of the whole world, so then dinosaurs come back into the world?
Oh,
I hope they don't, because I think when they expanded it to the world, that's what I think Dominion's weakest thing is. Like they went too wide with it. I don't need to see them like going down in like pterodactyls in Las Vegas. Remember how they show that? I'm like, I don't need this, dude.
But I feel
Only
like
in the
I feel like
parks.
every movie's written by itself, right? They never actually like write out a trilogy and like go with the plan. They have like they make a movie, oh, it's successful, let's make another one, and they kind of do that. And I don't think that works, and that's why the Fallen Kingdom and Dominion were not the greatest. I feel
Yeah.
like they just need to like say, hey, if we're gonna make a trilogy, let's write 2 and 3 together. That way they have like a simple plan that kind of works together. And I would prefer them to do something like that, so they have like a cohesive plan that's going to
Yeah.
work with all of them.
And then that would help out, also branch out the characters. I hope we see more of these 3, like Zora, Duncan, and Henry. I think that's our new 3 right there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked if you don't see the family again. It'd just be one of those things like, oh yeah, But
Just a
those
side
3
thing.
on another mission, or it's just like, but how much longer can we really stretch out the whole like research facilities and park? The reason why I think Jurassic World works so well was like it's cool to see them try to do a park, right? And then it just got like, once again, it's basically a reboot of the first movie, and it goes, doesn't.
But it was
doesn't happen,
actually
right?
like a successful park for like 10 years before everything went south.
True. Yeah, it's just when they started like, hey, we got to get more people in here. So sponsored by Samsung. Remember, they're like, we have to get this other thing. But I mean, regardless, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I hope this is successful. Maybe it's weird. This was like a mystery movie, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
normally the
right.
mystery movies are movies that are like because they're trying to see like get more word of mouth sometimes on them. But we had a pretty packed theater, and for the sound of it, everybody was clapping at the end. Everybody seemed to have enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, my theater was the same. They were pretty happy with it. Although I did hear some commentary afterwards about some people not liking how it ended. So
It is a little
That was,
weird. That's a very Hollywood ending to it. But once again, it's like, is it because they had Mahershala Ali? Like, this guy's won Oscars, for God's sake.
yeah, if it's anybody else, I feel like it wouldn't have been the case. But
Yeah, they're like, why would we kill him? This is insane. We got to use him in the next one.
he's
He's
never
not going to
do
be.
Blade, guys.
Yeah, he's never doing Blade, guys. So we might as well just get him for this.
What if the whole plan was to kill him, and then they figured out Blade's not going to happen? So like, oh, well, maybe we have a chance of keeping him.
Oh,
Nah,
I
it
mean-
seems like they were like, hey, it's because it's like they're they're facing their own things, and like Duncan's whole like plot or his character arc was like he wanted to protect the kids more than he even gets mad at Ruben and he's like, why did you watch your kids? And then Zora's like, hey, stop, Duncan, we know this ain't about them. Right? And I was like, dude, what the fuck is going on, man? So
well, any final thoughts? Anything we haven't talked about that you want to mention before we end it?
I mean, I'll just go back and add to what James mentioned earlier, that some of the deaths you weren't invested in. It was like you said earlier, Mikey.
The crew.
Yeah, they're like cannon fodder. You were supposed to have some kind of connection with them, but none of those were very impactful. In fact, especially compared to like the first film, how some of those deaths happen, these just kind of happen, and then you just move on to the next thing.
The girl on the beach is like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
she just got dragged away, and they're like, just watch her die, I guess.
They're like more worried about the gear they lost. Like, shit,
Spinosaurus is like, oopsies, got him. So, and then the French dude, I knew that dude was dead right off the bat when I was like, they're leaving him outside the nest. I'm like, nah, not a good look. Making noise, too. Hella noise.
Well, he threw a wrench at dinosaur, right?
Come on. Yeah, what are you doing, dude?
He did a pretty good shot on him.
That was a good, like, that one was probably a good death as far as, like, the cannon fodder again.
The reveal of it was cool because he gets up and, like, Duncan doesn't realize he's already dead. Yeah. And he's in the mouth. I was like, oh, shit. I thought that was cool, actually.
Yeah, that was a good one. Really... And he kind of sacrificed himself, right? Because he distracted the whatever bird dinosaur and then had to kind of escape. Like that, there was a little bit of tension there. I was like, okay, let's see how this is going to end up. But the other ones, again, especially the ones early on, it just kind of happened. And you're like, oh, one down,
I realized it was just stairs there the whole time. They're like, actually,
I know, I thought that too.
We didn't have to just climb up any of this shit. Even the boat, I brought it to Mikey when the boat crashes. I was like, guess you didn't have to jump at all.
Down with the
everybody else can jump, and they seem okay.
And he just climbs out of the engine room like it's nothing happened.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, okay.
Didn't break an arm, nothing.
Nope. Then 2 seconds later, somebody does get murdered on the beach. But
yeah.
Overall, though, not a bad movie. So
yeah, pretty fun.
All right, that's the end of our bonus episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, we liked it for the most part here, so we'd recommend you check it out when it drops next week. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.